is to totally appreciate it. I'm going to bring on my good friend Angus Clark in a minute. I just want to make sure everything is going as supposed to be. Let me know how it's going. If everything looks good, sounds good. I know I always start these ones off. I'm using this program, and as always, I always get a little freaked out as if everything is working right. So please let me know if it's all looking good. I am super happy to be here today. I've got my good friend Angus Clark coming up. Hold on. Boy, this is always so confusing. Thanks for hanging. All right, I'm on live. Great. Perfect. All right. So, first of all, we have all sorts of cool stuff going on. Of course, I've got my book for sale, my guitar reference guide over at JM Guitar Lessons. And we have some really cool things going on as well. I am coming up soon. My friend Keith, and you'll be hearing some of this today, Keith over at 5 Watt World. We have, Keith's got a cool video coming out on the guitars of Eric Clapton, of course, I helped play on. And we have a whole new batch of Line 6 stomp that we put together, stomp presets, and the outlining Eric Clapton's different periods in time. I'm going to give you a little example of some of those today, too. And I've got my SG here. So if you guys want to go over and sign up for YouTube freebies over at jmguitarlessons.com, that would be awesome. I have my glasses on today because I can actually read better. Because you guys see me squinting all the time, trying to read the chat and all that. So I think I look much more sophisticated. Don't you guys agree? Definitely much more sophisticated with the glasses on. Okay. So this should be cool. We're going to check this out. We're going to bring in my friend Angus Clark, who's almost ready. I think he's kind of poking around. Thanks so much to BB for being here today. Appreciate it. It's a beautiful summer day, or spring day still here in New York City. All right, so here, check this out. This is my kind of dialed in. This is my cream. It's my live Wheels of Fire patch that will be available soon on the HX Stomp collection. So, all right. I see Angus poking around. You ready to come on, Angus? Give me the thumbs up. I'm going to bring on my good friend. Okay, so I got to give my friend an introduction. Angus Clark is probably one of my closest friends on the planet. He is the guitar player for many years for the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. He also plays with Cher, Lynn Turner. Boy, lots of other really cool people that he can fill in and tell me that I've missed. But doesn't get some great videos. Check out him playing at arenas. Angus and I have been friends, best men at each other's weddings, and all that. So without any more stuff, here's Angus. Boom. What's up,
I'm
man?
here. Do I sound like I'm here? Am I
you
here?
sound like you're there to me. Sounds good to me. All right. Well, thanks for being here today, man.
My pleasure, as always.
So we're going to just geek out on SGs. And it was funny. I was thinking about, I talked about a bunch of videos about Clapton and I'm thinking like, look, I haven't really spoken about SGs. I'm like, well, who do I know who owns more SGs than anybody else I know? And that would be you. So let's talk a bit about the SGs. So why don't you talk about what you dig about them? Okay, so we're both coming from the same sort of musical background of metal and early metal, right? I guess we call it proto metal, proto shred. Right?
I love the term. I love proto in front of anything.
Me too.
There you go.
Having the same background, but obviously Sabbath, Tony Iommi uses an SG. Clapton using an SG. We both have our 60. What's yours? This is a 64 reissue with the lyre on it. Oh. And yours is what's that one?
This is a Gibson USA 61 reissue, which I don't know if they still call it that. This would have been like early 2000s, and so.
So mine's better than yours. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. I'm here to represent obtainable instruments. That's my job here. Yeah. In the Jeff-McErlain universe is to represent obtainable instruments.
Mine is not to do that, right?
Yours are aspirational. You have more aspirational instruments. Just so everybody knows, between all of our friends, a visit to Jeff's house, our entire lives involved there being the most enjoyable to play instruments that we had ever encountered as mere mortals. And this is before the price point had gone to where it is now. This is even when they were obtainable guitars. Jeff had always gotten things tweaked or fine-tuned to a point.
Let's talk about that. The difference between I think you and I was staying at home doing a lot of teaching, obsessing about guitars while you're out playing arenas.
Just need a tool. I just need a screwdriver.
Well, let's talk about that. I mean, okay, so yes. I mean, yeah, I got into the cork sniffy world, and then, just as I've always told you too, like you could sell a bunch of those cheaper ones and then get the bigger one. That's what I did. Like you start, you get a few, and you're like, oh, if I cash these 3 in, I could get that. And that's how it happened for me, because we both started off at the same spot. I just unfortunately got that bug that you didn't get, and as much.
Yeah, I mean, no, there's reasons for where it winds up, but I'm just saying that you always had a great, you just understood something about the mechanics of guitars, and you were very into like making sure that they played right and you had them intonated great. And I would make do with something that was, this one's it always buzzes out here, so I just don't play that note. And
my OCD would be like, when I get a guitar, like I think we talked about this when I went to your place and we were checking out SGs, and I was like, I'm sitting there going, picking each note, trying to figure out like each thing, a dead note. You're like, you kind of got it right here, obsessive. I look for all the flaws immediately, which is actually kind of annoying.
I still do that when I try guitars. I do the full.
Sure.
I do it about that quick though, but and then I check all the bends.
Right, but I'm looking for dead notes. Like you play a note, and like, does that note ring as much as this note, or does that note ring?
I don't think I ever did.
I know, which is absolute insanity, because then you play the guitar, and then it ruins some of your enjoyment of the actual instrument, because you're like, I can hear that note not being as strong as you. And you realize every guitar is exactly like that. You know what I mean? Sorry, my smudgy glasses. All right, so this will be a whole conversation of this kind of nonsense. Let's talk about the SGs. So why do you like SGs so much?
Because my name is Angus. I think it's important to point out that I had owned, when I was first learning, when I first went to college, I got a Gibson Les Paul Studio, black Gibson Les Paul Studio, and I should have bought this. There was a black Les Paul Deluxe at the store, and I should have bought the Deluxe, and then I would have had that like my whole life. But between that and this Strat style Charvel that I owned from early on, so Jeff and I both had like either a Charvel or a Jackson kind of style guitar, coming in the 80, 81 era, and I was just raised on this, 6 on one side, basically Strat inspired thing. And but mine was a 2 humbucker guitar, and then I foolishly got extra pickups installed in it, and just
we all did that stupid stuff.
Terrible. And then I just kind of settled on, Gilmore was like one of my foundational influences, and then it was just kind of like Strats, and my main guitar was a Floyd Rose Classic, which is like basically the Richie Sambora model. Right. And I was just listening to Richie Sambora on some older Bon Jovi stuff, and man, he sounds great. He sounds great on that guitar. He's like really Hendrix inspired. Like when he, after they'd been doing it for a while, and he wasn't like so like adherent to the records and stuff, and he was just kind of going for it. I was just like, man, he's a great player. So I had this Floyd Rose Strat forever, and then somewhere in the TSO era, I had suddenly discovered that there's just a whole swath of people who just kind of find Strat's completely unacceptable, and that, you know, certain styles of music, i.e. the TSO, is best played on a Gibson. And so I really kind of went, all right, well, it's time to get a Gibson. And I went for the SG because of Tony Iommi, primarily Angus Young, and, you know, and of course Clapton, you know, so many guys. And it's just a classic instrument. And if you've seen me with the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, like Al now plays a bunch of guitars, but really, if he's going to dance with the one that bring him to the party, it's a black Les Paul.
Right.
So there's already a Les Paul, you know, the guy who makes the records is on stage playing a Les Paul. So I kind of wanted something to offset it. And I was like, great, let's get the SG. So I, you know, working with the TSO, we had a relationship with some guys at Gibson. I think Jimmy Archie was at Gibson when I got this.
Jimmy works at 30th Street Guitars now. These guys that Freddie Baker knows.
Yeah, so I got it from them and went down to the office and picked this up. So this is just a USA. Oh, but I went to the store and tried them out. You know, because the guys in the store love letting me try out the guitar before I go buy it directly from Gibson.
This is great. I'm going to buy it online. Yeah, never do that to guys in stores. People, they don't really like that much, you know. I'm not going to buy it online. It's cheaper.
They love that. They
love
appreciate
that.
the
Actually,
honesty.
I just had the conversation with Jimmy the other day when I was in 30th Street.
Yeah.
It's like some guy came in here and tried guitar pedals for like hours. Like, oh, I already ordered it online. I just wanted to check it out first, see if I'd like it ahead of time. And so I think he told me, he goes, okay, so if you want to try anything else next, you have to give me $100 deposit.
I'm telling you, if they open a wine bar in the store and they're charging for the wine, then they don't have a problem.
Right.
Plus, the chances of the guys or gals buying the guitar after a couple glasses of wine goes up.
Exactly.
Anybody in a state where this would be legal, feel free to borrow this business model. Just cut me in for 20%.
AngusClark.net.
There you go. So anyway, so I went for the SG. So I brought the SG down to, but when I went into the store to try them all out, what I discovered, and so if you're looking at the used guitars, like I said, I'm the guy playing the obtainable guitars. If you're looking at the used SGs, the prices are probably going up. But the Gibson USA, the 61 reissue, whenever it was available, early 2000s, I really think it's a great version of an SG. It's I remember when I was looking at them, you kind of started at like kind of the standard, or you know, they had like a base model kind of before you got up to the 61 reissue, and none of them had this kind of punchiness that you connect with most pronounced with Angus Young. For me, that's where I really felt it. So like below the 61, it was just kind of like it didn't have the punchiness to it, didn't have the character. But as soon as I played one of these, I was like, oh, that hits it. But this was around the time I also went into what was it? Rudy's, the original Rudy's with like Dean and the other guy. And the guy was like, oh no, Jimmy Vivino was in here and he just bought 3 of these. Remember that guy? Right? Because Jimmy was heading up Conan's band?
Conan band,
yeah. And so that was all he ever told you about, was what he came in to buy.
Who just came in who was bigger than you.
Yeah. So what
but
he
you work here though, you see that's.
But what he pointed out to me was, the USA, you don't want that because the neck joint isn't even authentic. So I don't know if you can see, but right here, this little lip.
Yeah, mine doesn't have that.
Yeah, see?
I don't know why. Yeah, I know why.
Because it's the real deal, right? Yeah. So anyway, so this is what I got. So what have I got? It does what it's supposed to do, as far as I'm concerned, you know. And it's just a 57 and a 57 plus, or you know, just
Wait, you didn't change the pickups?
haven't changed these pickups. No.
What?
Jeff's like, what?
Yeah, well,
You
I
can
don't
do that? You
understand how
cannot
that-
change the pickups on a guitar?
How does that happen? Yeah, that's good.
And so let's do the nerdy stuff because we
let me see
are
if I can
nerds.
figure this
We
out.
got to
Let me get
represent. The tuners are this was when Tone Pros was involved with Kluson. So it's the Tone Pros version of Kluson Deluxe,
Okay.
which is just well made. Yeah, right now, I just get them from Kluson now. I think Kluson are awesome. It's the pickups it came with. The pots may have been changed out at some point on tour. I have no idea about that. But it is...
On tour. Thank you for dropping that in.
But it is a...
By your tech.
Exactly. But it is it's a Tone Pros bridge and tailpiece because we were working with them at the time.
Yeah.
So, and that's pretty much it. I probably replaced it once or twice. And let's see if I turn some of the stuff off. I mean, it just sounds like it's supposed to, and you know, I'm sure I got out of there for under $1,500 or something like that.
Yeah, sure. Well, you know, I think one of the key things, you know, you're kind of joking about my guitars and stuff. I haven't bought anything new. Like, that's one of the real keys. You know what I mean? This is used. It's a 64 custom shop reissue from the early thousands that I got for a good price because it was used, you know, from a good store. Was that Watchtower Guitars out in Morristown, New Jersey? You know, just, it was used. And so we used. I always look for used stuff because a new Gibson, you know, it's really expensive, and now more so than ever. So I think the used way to go is always really good. When somebody's just asking, hold on, he just woke up, but let's just.
Well, maybe somebody look in the chat, look up a early 2000s Gibson USA 61 reissue, and let everybody know what they're going for. And then tomorrow they'll be going for twice as much.
You know what I'm saying? So neck dive, that's one of the things about SGs that some people have. What are your thoughts on that? Do you have anything like, you got to look for it. Like, they all don't have that. I've played some that do. And what do people by neck dive? That's because, you know, the neck is, it's a light guitar. It's, first of all, let's talk about the construction. It's like, basically, they are less expensive than a Les Paul. It's not plug in a Les Paul and we can hear the difference and things. Because, you know, there's no carved top. It's just all mahogany. Less labor intensive to make. And so that's also why they sound very different. But also sometimes they're heavy on the neck. And this one is not. It's pretty light, but also, yes?
No, keep going.
Oh, and this has got the lyre on it, so that actually adds a little more weight to the back. So that stops it from doing that. Not all of them do that, but this actually helps, I've been told by a number of people.
Yeah, this may also come down to a wardrobe question.
That is true, and what kind of strap you use, too.
And I'm specifically speaking of the strap as a part of your wardrobe.
Yes, okay.
So, you know, because I only use leather straps, and usually the inside of it has a little bit of texture to it that kind of keeps that thing from, but all of the guys I see who use those nylon straps, which are fine, they have a tendency to slide along the tuxedo, because I only play in a tuxedo. The nylon straps have a tendency to slide more than the leather straps, is what I've noticed. Right. But these are really light. Like, this is really light. This is one of the best necks, and it's just super comfortable. I guess it's a 60C. It's not like that.
It's not, your neck is very similar to this one. It's not a thin neck. It's like that kind of beefier SG neck.
Yeah, it's really comfortable. And then let's upgrade. Let's go. Does everybody want to move along?
Yeah, let's move along.
Move up one.
Oh, here we go. I love this one. Here we go. Let's bring it a little closer up here there.
All right. So this then is a custom shop 61 from about the same time as the as the USA one. And the story there is that I showed up at rehearsal with Trans-Siberian Orchestra with the red one, and Paul O'Neill said, "Hey, Angus, I like you with the SG." And I said, "It'd probably show up better in the lights if it was white." And he said, "Let's have the office make a call." So they had just made a short run of these white custom shop SGs. I think this is around the time the guy in what's the band that has that song Chop Suey? System of Down. Around the time System of Down, like the guy used a white SG in the video. So so it was a custom shop from the early 2000s. And I will say that there were some QC issues on it that I think the custom shop are not prone to anymore. But we had them fixed. We had Brower in San Francisco do it. And this has a slightly bigger neck than that, but you will see on the back that it has that neck joint is appropriate.
Proper?
Yeah, proper neck joint.
Proper?
Yeah, exactly. And I was loath to change anything on it. I didn't change the tuners right because it's all custom shop. Mm-hmm. But at some point, one of the screws in the bridge got bent, and like you can tell the screw in the bridge gets bent when like the string is buzzing out, and then you change the intonation slightly, and then the string is fine because the screw is causing the saddle to change. So I got the Callahan bridge, and I will say, and I know Jeff, you have like a vintage bridge on one of yours, but this I think.
Of course I do. As
a modern repro part, this Callahan bridge is really tremendous piece of kit, as they say. Mm-hmm. Let's have to get plugged in. Oh, let me plug it in. Sorry. Let's hear that one, Jeff. Can we hear yours?
Okay. Well, yeah, we're gonna hear mine. Yeah, well, you're plugging in. So yeah, I just got it's the 64 reissue. These are actually stock pickups. I do have my throwbacks that I'm going to throw in that they sent over to me. Why? Well, I don't know, because they're usually better. I haven't put them in yet, because I usually put in my own pickups, but I opened up the back plate, and I'm like, I am not touching anything in the back of this guitar. Like SG, Gibson, I mean, Les Pauls I'm fine with. My kombucha bottle out of the way. Les Pauls I can handle the wiring, but this is so tight. We and I discussed this. I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. So here we got, we got like an airier quality to them, which I really love. And in my neck, which I think these pickups sound good. Right, so. If I get the neck tone for that, like. The Clapton-y stuff that I'm such a fan of. But yeah, I mean, I just love them because if I pull out my Les Paul in a minute, there's like an airier top to them. And I was talking to, who was I talking to? I'm talking to my friends. Where am I? How do I do this again? Sorry, guys. I'm just working this program. It's not working so great for me. I'll get it. There I am again. I was going to go back to Angus. You talk while I sort this out.
These are custom buckers. This is actually a third set of pickups I got from the custom shop, and now these are the custom buckers. I think essentially what comes in your custom shop, Les Pauls and stuff. At the time I got this, things were coming with the burst bucker, and right. I know there's lots of opinions about the burst buckers, but they were not for me. This guitar has even more punch than the other one, and I've definitely brought both to a rehearsal at some point, and I'll put this one on, and people definitely respond to it.
I automatically that one's got more throaty character to me. Not that the other one didn't sound good, but that one's actually sounds a little more vintage. If that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I'm on a more vintage preset too.
Oh, well, you see, you changed the upset. There it
is. Let's see if I do it here.
There we go.
It has more clarity in the low end, I think.
Yeah. BB just posted that the SG is George Groon's least favorite Gibson electric when asked the question to my friend Tom Bukovac. Yeah, at first I didn't like them because the first one I had was a while ago. It had a really thin neck. It did the neck dive, and the neck moved every other day. Like, so it was just a bad one, But I just think they're great. I mean, I just got this, I don't know, about a year ago because I kind of wanted one. I just really like the guitar. I like playing it a lot. They're a little, they're a different thing than a Les Paul. It's like totally different.
Yeah. I mean, I think from the modern thing, if you look at like Derek Trucks,
yeah.
I mean, this guy's a virtuoso, and he's still playing the SG just straight into the amp.
Yeah, as far as I understand, that's my understanding.
It's one of the most chillingly good tones I've ever heard. Whether he's playing slide or without the slide, it's nuts. And
Frank Marino.
Yeah, and that's a whole other thing, right? Way more affected kind of a thing. This one is like, so like I said, this era of custom shop had some QC stuff. So this one has a replacement nut. We had to replace the bridge, but as far as the wood, the bones of the guitar are really good.
Oh, we gotta get, nope, stop. I've just been demonetized. That's the big band, man. You can never play AC/DC. They actually block the video. I'm gonna have to cut that out. Oh boy. All right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
you're
gosh.
not a YouTube.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We should have done a briefing.
Yeah.
And if we do, what is this? Everybody loves when we do this, right?
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah. No, it's great. Yeah, the womany tone thing.
Yeah, and so I love it, and I think the access is half of what's so awesome about it. It's just the way you can get up high on the neck. It's like that's part of what is
that. That's one of my favorite things about it is that how easy it is to play up high. It feels weird at first because it feels like something is all the way over here. Like, when you're used to playing a Les Paul, which actually sits like right here, you feel like the neck is longer, but, it isn't longer. It's just in a different spot. So,
right.
The reason, I know people have asked me like why I took the bar off of this. There's two reasons. One, besides it not staying in tune, which I've been told, like maybe if I put the nylon saddles, that'll help a lot. Because it's not like a Strat where you're sitting on these sharp edges as opposed to a Strat, which is curved around, a Strat tremolo. So they're going to get caught up under here. There's that, and also, the bar itself, for me, it's big and sits right there, like right in the way of everything. So they call it like a walrus tooth or something like that. So yeah, it's like I can't play them very well because that's just right in my way. Right, so it's like when I play a Les Paul with a Bigsby. Like I think it looks cool, but trying to play it and get to that volume knob is very difficult for me. So it's not my favorite.
And you got that at Watchtower how long ago?
I got this about a year ago. There's a video when I got it. I had not planned on getting one, but
you just had to, right?
You know how it is. Like then you come home and you're like, what can I sell? And you just furiously look through all your stuff, and that's what always happens with me. I'll buy something. I'm like, all right, now I got to sell a whole bunch of stuff, and I just look through everything, and it's always about refining, and it's fun too. I think a lot of the guitars have inspiration behind them. And look, I mean, you got a ton of guitars. How many V's do you have, by the way?
I have three. I have 3 V's. I have 4 SGs.
Okay. There you go.
So if we keep moving into I had during the pandemic, like a lot of folks, I had a lot of ideas. I had a lot of big ideas, and one of them is that in addition to my fondness for Sabbath, it's like everything Ronnie James Dio is kind of really meaningful for me. And so I had always really admired the JD era Iommi SGs,
Right.
the ones that he had from Heaven and Hell, Mob Rules. And it was a custom-made guitar, the 24 fret one with the cross inlays. He had made, when Ozzy was still in the band, I think maybe Never Say Die, Sabotage era. And so...
Sabotage?
Yeah. So he exactly. So right, but the thing was, I was just like, well, I can't go get a guitar with crosses on it, or it just kind of wasn't going to be a. So there's two of them. There was the black one that he had that was made by John Birch. It was made by John Diggins working in John Birch's shop, and that had a John Birch insignia on the top of it, and it came with pickups that look like these. And then he had JD, John Diggins, built him a second guitar, but he built it at home. While I think he may have still been working for John Birch, but he built the guitar at home and he did it with a JD insignia at the top, and that's the first JD signature Iommi SG, and that's the one where the finish peeled off, and they call it the old boy because it wasn't properly cured and the paint all peeled off. So they're all modeled basically on the Monkey guitar, which is I don't know, 64 probably, something like that.
I don't know.
And 63, 64, 65 maybe. Somebody let us know. And he but he wanted these different kind of pickups, and so he had these John Birch pickups. So John Diggins now still owns JD Guitars, and he makes a version of the pickups. So I was looking around, and when this guitar started life as a Pelham Blue junior reissue, like a 2018 junior reissue. Right. It's only like $1,300 guitar. Yeah. And I said I could make that into an Iommi guitar, or at least I know some guys that could help me do that. And I called Joe Reggio, who's a refinisher and builder. He actually has Reggio guitars. He makes awesome Strat style guitars and Tele style guitars, but he's a master refinisher. I met him at the Tacoma Guitar Festival. Yep. In the Tacoma Dome. And we talked, like this, Jeff, this was when you and I had started getting a gold top, and like I had, now suddenly I had some reference point for what these finishes, true vintage nitro was all about and all that kind of stuff. So when I met him at that Tacoma guitar show, he was actually carrying around like some kind of vintage gold top that he was looking for a buyer for or something. And he started talking to me about, you have to use this legit nitro without the plasticizers in it and like all this, kind of stuff. And we just really bonded over it. Great guy. And so I told him about the concept. I was like, I want to get this guitar done up like the old boy. And he said, sure, let's do it. So I got this used. It already had a bone replacement nut and like lollers in it. And like some guy had already put a bunch of work into it. And I was like, well, that's fine. But I took everything off of it. I sent it to Joe and he did this to it. So it's like this immaculate like bunch of checking. And he had to kind of work around the fact that this is actually a 3-piece body. Like these juniors are, they have one that's like a cherry mahogany now, but this is actually a 3. So he had to go dark at certain points, in order to make it hang together. But the checking and the aging on it is just so cool. And he sent it back to me just with the finishing done. I got the wiring is from an outfit called Gun Street Wiring Shop, which I'm a big fan of. If during the pandemic, there were sourcing issues. I like getting wiring harnesses from Mojotone. They make great stuff. I have some Emerson wiring harnesses that are great. None of them had any stock, but Gun Street did. And Jeff, I sympathize with you about not wanting to put it in yourself, because I tried to put this in myself and I knocked one of the lugs off of one of the
Oh yeah.
knobs. And
Yeah,
the guy.
Yeah, that's well. You told me that. And I'm like, I opened the back up. This is kind of funny. I was telling because we talk all the time, and I was thinking, yeah, I gonna replace the pickups myself. I can do that. And you said that after I showed him, like, I'm not touching this thing. This is crazy, so neat. And you're like, yeah, I knocked the lug off. And then you're like, then you're really mad at yourself. One thing that BV was pointing out that it's the neck joint that he was not crazy about. That George Kroon wasn't crazy about. Yeah, well, look, I mean, SGs are not. They're well known for having a neck break off. You know what I mean? So.
I've luckily never had that problem. But just in case anybody's interested in this, if you wanted to do this yourself, the pickups are a non-standard size. They don't fit into the P90 routes. We had to expand the routes in order to get the pickups in.
Right.
But really, if you want to get later Iommi sound, and I won't play an actual Iommi.
Yeah, don't play it. Yeah, the Black Sabbath, same thing.
I'm not. Yeah, I got it. But this would be that. Again, I'm not plugged in. Actually, Jeff, give me a second. I got to tune up. Sorry, I'm doing everything wrong today.
All right, Because there's less wood in the neck joint. Do you find? Hey, Matt Gibson, what's up, man? Do you find the neck can bend easily because tuning issues? Do you find the neck can bend easily because tuning? I've played one and it seemed to be an issue. Yeah, Matt, or could have just been his guitar. To answer your question, this is what I look for. Well, when I buy a guitar, one of the first things I do is this. Right? And I'm pushing fairly hard on this and it's not moving. So that's the first thing I want to look for. The SG that I had that ended up selling, when I did that, it was like, wow. Like, I would lean over to pick something up and the guitar would go flat or sharp. Like, if you went this way or that way, the neck, it was, I couldn't deal with it. It was crazy. So that's probably what it was with that guitar. It's not inherent to the guitar because, I'm pushing fairly hard and that's not moving, So that would answer that question, Matt. I think it's just a matter of finding the right one. And it's not necessarily, sometimes guitars with thinner necks are going to be more subject to that, but not always the case. I wouldn't call this a fat neck. It's a medium-sized one, and it doesn't do that. In terms of I hope that answers your question there, Matt. It's a good question, though. So another question up here. Also, if you have any questions, guys, let me know. Where was one about playing certain different styles of music on? I'm sorry, running back here, guys. Sometimes these are flying by, and I missed the questions. Well, one thing I was anticipating, I think my friend Russ chimed in about, I think Bill Frisell playing an SG and all of that. I don't find the guitar is necessarily stylistically more suited to anything other than what you play on it, just like any Gibson to me. Like, you can play something really heavy on a 335 and it still sounds good. So I find I can play blues on this really well. And, since it's got a neck humbucker, you can play jazz on it as much as I play jazz. But yeah, I mean, it's not going to sound like a 335. I mean, it's not going to sound like a 335 or an L5. But I don't find it to be limiting the kind of music I can play on it.
Yeah, I think folks have used SGs on so much cool stuff. I mean, it's you can get, at the end of the day, it's a mahogany guitar with humbuckers in it.
Yeah,
you can definitely
with Gibson scale, yeah.
Yeah, that has that.
Right.
So this is kind of this. I mean, these are purported to be really high output, these Iommi style pickups. But the main thing about this guitar is that I have this with 9s in E flat, which is
who makes the pickups?
The JD.
Oh, right. Sorry.
John Diggins. Yeah. Okay. And so with 9s in E flat. And I know, Jeff, you've been posting some stuff where you checked out these lighter gauge strings and you're like, oh, suddenly all this stuff makes so much sense,
Yeah.
And I definitely had that experience on this guitar. And I got this pigtail wraparound bridge on it.
Oh, cool.
And I don't know, It just really does the thing.
It does the thing. One thing I noticed when you're playing that patch, that pick, as you roll down the volume of it, and those cleaned up really nice. It sounded nice and sparkly and cool. This is so nerdy, it's great, isn't it? It's so nerdy. This is what two guitar players hang out talking about. So obviously we got like 91 people who want to hear us talk about this nonsense, which is just the best.
Well, I mean, there's probably 91 people who didn't think to reach out to John Diggins in Birmingham and order up some old boy replica pickups. And the other thing is that the actual old boy bridge pickup has rails as opposed to the screws. And I said, no, I want the kind with the screws. This is actually a custom set. So
look at you.
I don't even want to, you know what I'm saying? It's like you may have this idea, but just know that you're not the first person to have this idea. And shout out to Joe Reggio for the finishing work, and I highly recommend him. I mean, Jeff, I know you've gone to a couple of different folks like Historic Makeovers. They do great work. And who's your repair guy down south?
Holger Notzel.
And Holger. I mean, and then we've got Matt Brewster here in New York, and I've got Anthony Marcatelli, who's out here by me, who does some work at Watchtower, which is a great store up there in Morristown. So we have all these go-to guys to help us make this stuff happen.
I was surprised to find out that my favorite Les Paul neck pickup sounds were actually Dickie Betts playing an SG.
There you go.
Yeah. So let's hear that. So obviously, let me just play a little bit, and I'll switch to my Les Paul, right? So.
Get the Les Paul, find out what's going on.
All right. Right, so. Now we hear different pickups too, of course. So
there's a warmth in the SG. It's interesting. The high end on the SG is just so different because there is a lot of high end on the SG, but there's a high mid. The Les Paul thing is with the maple top. There's that high mid that gives it an attack that the SG is more of a punch, and the Les Paul is more bite to my ear.
Right, and then if it's closer to the 335, at least to me. On that higher end, right? Well, it's all guitar specific too.
That's a great sounding guitar.
It is, yeah. Question we also just had, we got another one, same before, with the neck dive. It's dependent on, we covered this one earlier, but it's really dependent on the particular SG that you're playing, one. And then also, as Angus said, it depends on your clothing, what kind of strap you're using when you're standing up, too, if there's a little bit of a rub, like a leather strap. But yeah, it's often very much comes down to the guitar you're actually playing.
I know that me and Al Petrelli have this ongoing thing that I play very lightweight guitars on stage. Like I play.
Yeah.
I'm
crazy.
I have the SGs, but I primarily play the Vs, and the Vs are like under 8 pounds. and he primarily plays Les Paul, which is somewhere between 9 and 10. And then he got an SG style, an SG, I think it was like an SG custom, like black, maybe 3 pickup model.
Right.
And that guitar was heavy.
I played some heavy SGs, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I said,
they should be okay. So for me, there's certain guitars that should be kind of light. An SG should be kind of lighter because it's so thin. I mean, like, you know, that's kind of one of the things that's so cool about them, you know. Yeah. But this adds some weight. When I was talking to Holger, who's a guitar repair guy, and it was Grissom. David, I was talking to David, and he's like, I really like the lyres on these too because they add like even an airier quality on top. There's a different sort of sound to them. So when I did my video on when I got this guitar, I was saying, I might replace this, and Holger calls me up and is like, no, you'll totally change the sound of the guitar. What I meant was I was taking the bar off, the physical actual bar, because it gets in my way. He thought I was talking about, like, you know, taking the whole thing off together, and then we decided that's not what I was talking about.
And then you were like, I'm the artist. You're the repair guy. I don't have to validate my choices.
That's exactly what I said to him. In my mind. Not out loud, you know. So, some more questions, guys? Anybody got some questions for Angus? So let's talk about, okay, so you were talking about on the road. So you end up using your flying Vs a bit more than your SGs because they're lighter or because they look cooler, or both?
Interesting. You know what? The tuning stability on the SGs is not as good as it is on the Vs. For sure. Okay. Yeah, because I mean, the V headstock is almost like straight pull.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So it's just and yeah, it was visually more of a signature thing for the gig. And then I'm trying to remember. I had the red SG set up to do something in drop D, and it was the last thing that happened before we started. That was for Carmina Burana, and the last thing that happened before Carmina Burana was like this Mozart thing, and at the end of the Mozart thing, there was this pyro hit using cryojets, which is like the CO2 stuff, you know, kind of causes a fog to fall, fall down over the stage. So
I have them in my house.
Yeah.
I just don't use them much.
So here's a tip, man. If you're going on right after a cryojet hit, you have to have a guitar with a lot of tuning stability, because then it got to be that when the tech came up out of the bunker underneath the side of the stage, like the cryo hit cools the stage down like 20 degrees. It's like you're fine, it's like just, everything gets really cold. And then if you've ever seen the show, Carmina Burana is a big flame pyro number. And he would bring that SG out, and by the time I started the first chord of Carmina Burana, like, it would be... And that's me just bending the neck. So I definitely, like in terms of stability, the V's wound up being a better choice.
So just to summarize, next time you guys are playing at an arena and they use the cryojet, and before you start playing...
And they're using the Dragons on the next one. They have the cryo hit, and then the Dragons. You gotta,
You gotta choose the right guitar. You gotta make sure your tech hands you the right guitar. That's awesome.
It's the subtleties of performance, man.
Yeah. No, but okay. I mean, I'm just having fun with you because that's like rarefied earth air and stuff, and it's totally freaking awesome. But that's funny. But those are the things you have to think about, right? Because that's huge. You play a chord and you're completely out of tune. It doesn't matter. Like, that's all you can hear is how out of tune you are, So.
Yeah, you're playing for an audience of one.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you be on a big stage, big crowd, but you have your ears in, and all you can hear is, whether or not you're in tune.
Yeah, and
if you're messing up. So, yeah. So I will say there are practical issues. Like for this, like I got this guitar, set it up with 9s and E flat, and it's a young guitar. The neck is relatively thin on these. If you get one so this is, like I said, it's a relatively recent special whatever, the special reissue. And thoughts on the SG Modern. I've never been attracted to that.
I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, they do. I think the Les Paul Modern is pretty cool. I know my friend Blake Allard in Joyous Wolf has like one of those. It's like the blue top with wood back and sides, and they have one in kind of a carbon black.
Is that what the Modern is?
I think that's the Modern. Yeah, there's the standard is like the traditional style, and then there's the Modern one. But I don't know what none of the Modern things have really appealed to me that much. But I think that when I got this guitar, so this is, like I said, a special, right, reissue, so the wraparound bridge. And when you play it, it's really lively, like just acoustically. It's like a really...
See,
it's really like makes a lot of noise and you feel real happy about it. But then when you get into it, it's like just keeping your power chords in tune gets to be kind of a, even though I've had the nut worked on and I'm pretty happy with the setup, like I'm still, stressing out about how much pressure I put on an A chord. That versus... And then, if I'm bending the B string slightly when I play a D chord, or how much pressure, it's just to play the cowboy chords. That's one of those things. Like you could tune up a guitar, have it basically well intonated, and you get a veteran player who knows the guitar, and he sounds perfectly in tune when he or she plays Hey Joe and the cowboy chord shapes. But a younger, less experienced player or a player who's not familiar with that particular guitar sounds really out of tune. And it's just finger pressure and a little bit of, on the C chord I'm going to do this, and on the G chord I'm going to do that. And, it's... Well,
to Matt Gibson's question earlier, like that's one of the things when I check out any guitar, I do kind of think about those things, like how much... So basically, if you don't... everything understands what Angus is saying, but... Like if you push a little bit or pull even on the neck. Some guitars, you just put your elbow down like you're playing, right? And this neck is pretty solid. I found it to be less apparent on Fenders. Maybe it's because the maple neck, or the construction with the bolt on or something like that. I think it's the maple neck versus the mahogany, softer wood. But yeah, with Gibsons, it's always a thing no matter how stable the Gibson is, So I found that sometimes you're recording, you're like, why does that sound, what's wrong? And then you stop playing, you're like, oh, it's me, Did I tell you, I think I told you that, well, there was a gig that you used to do that I had for about 30 seconds until I got fired.
It wasn't a good fit.
It wasn't a good fit at all. It was the worst fit in the world. I think it's the only gig I got fired from, which was, it wouldn't have worked that day. It was like first day, I'm like, this isn't going to work. This just is not. And then afterwards, I'm like, this isn't working. He's like, oh, yeah, I remember he made me cry. We're leaving the artist's name out, but Angus recommended me for a gig that was awesome that he offered. I really appreciated it because you got the TSO at that point. And he was doing all the string. Anyway, it was a funny thing. It just was not a good fit personality-wise, stylistically. There was a lot of confusion as to what my expected role was. And then somebody's like, why can't you play like Angus? And I'm like, because nobody told me you wanted me to play like Angus. Anyway, there was a thing, like he was showing me something, and he asked me to play my guitar, which I got big frets, right? And he starts playing, and he's like, this is out of tune. You're not even in tune. Like, it was just this nightmare scenario, just spiraling. Because he's like had 6100s on the thing, and he's playing a B minor chord and squeezing it, and he's like, the guitar's not even in tune. And I'm like, all right, is it time for me to go home yet?
That's awesome. I think, well, one thing that's a practical concern about that is that for those folks that, for those folks out there that are going to get a vintage guitar, you can put all reasonable amounts of work into those vintage guitars. You're definitely going to have some of these issues. I think it mostly revolves, it's the things you first experience, like my guitar's in tune, and then, the E chord is pretty much in tune, which there's the chords that are shaped like this and the chords that are shaped like that, right? Yeah. So like the G chord is out of tune.
Yeah.
But the D chord is in tune, like
perfect, relative information.
Because the D is shaped like that and the G is shaped like that. And it's like and then you start working, okay, maybe if I tweak this, the A note slightly, I'll get C.
Well, it's interesting. I think I had a Cher at one point that had that tuning system on it.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, this is weird. Like, I know it sounds ridiculous. I didn't really like it.
It was too in tune. I remember when you had the guitar, it sounded like you were playing a piano.
Yeah, I know. And you think like, that might be good, and you start playing it, and you're like, I don't think I like that. And it's funny. Then I heard like Scott Henderson and Mike Landau say they don't like it either. And I'm like, okay, so it's not just me. You know what I mean? Like, we had a question real fast. What was this one? You already addressed it, but maybe you can answer it again. What kind of wraparound bridge do you have on that one there?
I think it's called a pigtail.
Okay.
Yeah. And I actually ordered like all of them. So I could sell the other ones. But like the Schaller didn't quite fit on the posts. Mm-hmm. I was like, what? And then the Mojo Axe one was not actually intonated. So I got this one. The funny thing about getting it on there is that I actually, Anthony, when he put it together, this pickup is really close to the bridge with the pickup mounting ring. And so this space in here is questionable. And what we did is we used the master intonation screws on the bridge to push the bridge back so that there's enough room to get the strings in and out. It's like it's no problem if you change them all and you just pull the tailpiece off and slot them all in and then put the tailpiece back on, which is like how my tech likes to change strings. But if you break one and you had to do like just one of these strings, you couldn't actually get it in there right now. I need to readjust it slightly, but I've got plenty of room to go on the saddles,
right?
So I can just move the master back a little bit. But it's a really well made piece, pigtail, and the spacing issue is just unique to this guitar. I think on Tony's original guitar, this pickup is actually a little that way.
A little further up, yeah.
Yeah, it's like another 1/8 of an inch over, something like that.
It was interesting, and it can. Which I thought was funny when I was at the video I did over at Watchtower trying that Jeff Beck Les Paul. They have a wraparound and a humbucker, and the humbucker is like right next to the bridge. It was interesting how that'll affect the tone too. Like it's much closer to the pickup, to the saddles, or to the bridge actually. The humbucker is further back. I guess where initially they might have had a P90 or something. So it's really kind of interesting when you play the guitar. It's much more, bitey or aggressive for that reason.
Yeah, but I like the way this all came together. Like when we get into the.
I liked when I was at your place before I went to go see Tool. We got together and saw Tool, and I was playing that, and you had like some sort of real Naomi patch set up, Mob Rules thing, and but you can't because you can't play the tunes because we'll get dinged or something. But the tuning with the strings with that pickup, and he was playing. I'm like, yeah, it's really close sounding to the Mob Rules stuff, which you and I are. Well, we're both big Sabbath fans, but that Mob Rules period is so great with Dio.
Yeah.
We got a question here. I know this is solely about SGs. Not really, just in the beginning. Hey, Jason, what's up, man? Are there any guitars you consider as good as a good SG alternative? Well, that's a tough question. You want to grab that one first? I'll just say anything with two humbuckers and a Gibson scale will get you in the ballpark. Like, does my Les Paul sound different? Sure, but not to a, they'll all kind of almost read the same way. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, if you're like, I remember the first time when Jeff and I were teaching together, somebody had a PRS. That was kind of early on, and that was the first time I felt a guitar that was moved over.
Right.
It's kind of, everything's over here. I thought it was going to be over here, and everything's over here.
Right.
So it has a double cutaways, mahogany. I think they make some without the maple tops.
They do. Yeah.
So you can maybe, but I don't know if they make a version that's kind of a flat top. I can't remember what model that is.
And I think a big part of it is how thin they are. So I would think any kind of like thinner, non-maple top, that's a big part of it. The thickness, like the plank. You know what I mean?
There's some Yamaha stuff that I think is in the ballpark.
Yeah.
Of that, but it's like, well, let's go dirt diving. Here you go.
Here we go. I can play a PRS.
Go to the least expensive. So in the quest for the Iami thing.
Oh, here we go. I get a close up on you on this.
And this one, I have to give a shout out to.
Okay, hold on. What is all this? and why? I'm just kidding.
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Can you tell me why? Why would you do that? This is not even close to being in tune. So
I can move myself. No. So you got a locking nut in that, sir. Okay.
Yeah, maybe give me a second to get this tuned up, and then
this is why we don't use locking nuts.
Well, anyways, Iami famously had a like an SG custom, like with the large block inlays, that he had a true Floyd Rose installed upon.
Okay.
Which is not something that anyone will kind of like let you do.
Well, I mean, how much wood is there for the Floyd Rose to sit in, right? I mean,
yeah, I mean, I think just enough. If you get the shallowest block and you surface mount it, you could maybe even like install a piece of wood as like a shim to, a pad to install it on, so that you get a little more.
Al just mentioned here the Epiphone SGs. Like the new Epiphones are pretty good. I think I found the overall quality control at Gibson has increased dramatically. Not all of them, of course. Like I played some, Murphy Labs that were screwed up. So you got to be careful in all of them. Sometimes the quality control at Gibson is much better than it was. It's still not 100% like, let's say, that of like PRS. You know what I mean? Because there's a smaller company, different kind of thing.
I think I'm not going to say a bad word about Gibson. I mean, they've had their ups and downs just like any other company. I think that what they're doing right now is, and I'm not saying you are, Jeff. I'm saying that, like, I know that there's lots of talk one way or the other, but I mean, they definitely.
Look, I own a few, and the I got to say the new custom shop, because I'm not going to buy anything other than a Murphy Lab or a custom shop. Just kidding. Because just our first conversation, they're great. I mean, they've been shockingly good. But let me put it this way, because having played a lot of old Les Pauls and things like that, and I actually, as you know, do have an old Gibson. The new Murphy Labs, they feel a lot like the old ones. So they have all that thing that I love about the vintage guitars that they didn't have prior to the Murphy Lab. Now the Murphy Lab stuff is expensive, but I don't know. But it's cured any kind of feeling I've had. I'm more into not having a lot of guitars and just having the really prime pieces that I want.
Yeah.
How's that? So somebody wants to see your flying V's in a minute.
Yeah. All right. Well, so let's just talk about this for 1 second. So this is like an older reissue of an SG Special with P90s, but this was not with a wraparound bridge. This was done with a bridge and tailpiece, and because it has a bridge and tailpiece, it means you can put a Floyd Rose FRX on it. Boom.
So that is by a Floyd Rose?
Yeah, this is made by Floyd Rose. Oh, wow. It's the Floyd Rose FRX.
Oh, how cool is that?
It's a top-mounted Floyd
Rose
system, and then the locking nut is installed in place using the screws for the truss rod cover, and it's actually behind the actual nut. So there's no actual modification to the body.
So maybe my friend Russ can put that on his L5.
Exactly, Russ. put it on your L5. And the pickups here are mini humbucker sized pickups, but they were made for me by Sean Christopher of Pariah Pickups. Awesome pickups. And he had this thing, it was called the Supernaut. And I was like, dude, is the Supernaut supposed to be like the Iami pickup? And he's like, of course. And I was like, well, but it's a full-size pickup. Can you make me a mini humbucker-sized version of that? And he's like, sure. And I got the mounting rings to put them in the P90-sized holes, and boom, that's what we got. So this was put together, to play some things that I won't play while we're on the channel. But I have it set up dive only. It's like not,
But look, you were going pretty extreme. That's really, really good if you're going that extreme. You know what I mean?
So it's
I hear what you're putting out. There.
And I think that I did just change the tuning from.
It's okay. You just had the cryo jet just blow off in your room right there in the off camera.
But I was really happy with what Pariah was able to do with the pickups. So
I got a visitor. See if you kind of come on camera. What's up, Bo? Come on. What's it?
Well, I'm not seeing him.
You're not seeing Bo? Oh, he's right up. You see a tail. Hold on.
Oh, there you are. I didn't see where your thumbnail was. Maybach. Somebody mentioned Maybach guitars. Man, I keep seeing those on YouTube, and I think that's probably a great.
Bo wants to say hi. There he is. Oh. Now knock over my guitar if I'm not careful. He's a big 75-pound dope. All right.
There's Yamaha and there's Maybach are making great kind of.
Yep, Yamaha SG local books. This is Jason. Yeah, there's lots of great ones out there. I mean, you got to look for it. You just whatever one sounds good and plays well, and like we've said about this, every guitar. I mean, we both have some really nice guitars and stuff because it's our job. And
part of the job. It's part of the job.
Right, it's part of it's our job to, you know what I mean? And you've been around for a long time. You these things, relationships with companies and all these things, you find out what you like. My point is the guitar is the guitar. Good guitar is a good guitar. You know what I mean? So like if it's a Yamaha SG, Yamaha makes great stuff. So,
Yeah, I think I'm very it's interesting. Like Jeff and I are both kind of like we owe so much to like Hendrix and Clapton and those guys that just played the guitars that were they came up on Gibsons and Fenders, and yeah. I don't know that we're gonna shake that. And
I tried,
and I've played so many great guitars by so many different builders, and I love all of the folks that are making quality instruments. I think that's awesome. I like, what did I do? Like when I got the Cher gig, I went and I looked at the video for Turn Back Time, and I was like, guys playing a Strat, so I got my Floyd Rose Classic. I went and did the gig with my pants in my cowboy boots and my Floyd Rose Strat. I wasn't going to play anything other.
That's on your YouTube page, isn't it?
I wasn't going to play anything other than a Fender.
Of course, because of the video from Turn Back Time. So the greatest thing is this video you sent me that afterwards. Like, man, I just played. Cher was wearing the outfit, and I played Turn Back Time, and I'm playing the Fender. From that. Yeah.
It's like, and then.
Let's just be honest. Let's talk about some gig stuff. That's besides you being a great player and all these other things. That's one of the reasons why you get the gig too, because like a lot of people. You thought like, well, this is what she's going for, and this is what I'm gonna. It's part of the gig, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know that on the gig that Jeff and I were discussing before that I eventually left, and Jeff came in on, and it didn't work out for no fault of Jeff's. But I got hired for that gig because the artist in question had told somebody that worked at the office, like, I want somebody that plays a Strat.
Yeah.
It's like, that was like the only criteria.
It was a prerequisite. I think somebody plays a Strat.
I want someone who plays a Strat and kind of does David Gilmour thing, and and so like there I was, kind of literally the next day,
right,
playing a Floyd Rose classic, which is a very non-traditional Stratocaster, but
it was still a Strat, and you looked kind of like David Gilmour.
So let's just say I've personally had some reinforcing experiences that led me to be brand loyal to the traditional brands. I've had reinforcing experiences to do that. Some people will never have to deal with that, or it goes a whole other way, because I know that stuff is meaningless to a lot of the younger generation of guitar players, and it really is not going to matter. I think that there is that whole thing. People used to say it to Jeff and I when we were kids, like, well, Fenders and Gibsons will keep their value. People still say that.
Yes,
it's still true.
Yeah.
And it makes it really hard for newer builders to actually, establish themselves. But like, I have the Grosh Strat, great guitar. I have a couple of those Atomic guitars that were made for me early in the TSO things. Those are great guitars.
Yeah.
I have a Schecter 7-string. I think Schecter has built an amazing brand over the years. And I still love Charvel,
Yeah, but I'm just saying, especially when I play a bit more traditional music now, or whatever you want to call that, the bluesier thing, Gibsons, Fenders, Joe
Riggio's here. He says he likes the white SG. Well, thanks, Joe.
I think it was, Grissom tells me about that. He's been on sessions, and he'll have his signature GDT, which is a great guitar, and he sounds like himself on anything that he plays anyway, like almost more so than almost anybody I've ever encountered, interestingly enough. And play my guitar through my amp, and I'm like, how can you sound exactly like you? It's amazing. Anyway, he would have that in sessions where they'd say like, oh, did you bring a Les Paul? And he's like, well, yeah. And then he would play the Les Paul, and then it'd go back and like, well, let's try the other one. He said inevitably they always end up using the PRS track for him. But so
yeah. Well, like I remember Joel Hoekstra telling me once, he was like, man, when you go in the studio and people start A-B'ing the guitars, they just like kind of always wind up wanting you to use the Les Paul.
Sure. Well, they all have a sound, you know what I mean? Well, I think part of it is like they all have sounds. Like I've got the PRS, which is a great freaking guitar. It just it has its own sound. Yeah. That's the thing. You don't buy one of those. If I always say to anybody like, if I want a Les Paul, but I'm looking at something else, I'm like, well, then it's not going to sound like a Les Paul.
Yeah,
that's really the answer. I want something. I think Strats are easier to get things to sound like.
Yeah.
Because if you're using it's a bit, to me, when people try to like upgrade the construction of a Les Paul or a Gibson because of the annoying fragile headstock, and they change the headstock angle a little bit, or they make it more secure, all this, I think it affects the sound of the guitar. I could be wrong, but that's been my experience.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think,
but I feel like the Strat formula or like a Tele to me, like either it's going to be a good sounding one or not. Like I think a custom builder could build, if they're following the Tele template, I find it to be more people's takes on Gibsons sound less than people's takes on Fenders. How's that?
I think that's
unclear statement.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a little bit of voodoo in it, but I think as far as the SG is concerned, I don't know. Folks want to weigh in what their favorite of the ones they saw today. What's your favorite? I know it's the Iami one,
right?
Folks,
is there a certain guitar that you feel more believable on? Hey Russ, what's up? You guys know my friend Russ. Believable.
Oh.
confused. You know, it's funny. Like for me, it's a Strat. At the end of the day, if there's a desert island with an amp and electricity, it would be a Strat for me. As much as I do love Gibsons, I've been really kind of into Gibsons. Like, you know, if I had to just be one's asking you, if Wes is just asking now, if you just had one, what would it be? Any of my guitars, what would it be? It would be this, my 64 Strat.
Oh yeah, I mean, come on.
Like this is just, it's it. Like, you know, I have all these other guitars that I like and everything like that, but for me, it's this. This is, if there's going to be any situation, well, let's just plug her on in. You'll see why. I think, you know, plus I'm a Strat guy at the end. Like I said, at the end of the day.
But this one's about SGs. Of the SGs everyone saw today, which was everybody's favorite?
Somebody just said the 335 was his favorite. Love the white. There's a couple.
Joe Riggio, how can I not favorite the Iami Old Boy? Yes, Joe Riggio.
Yeah.
Amazing work. That's
yeah.
That's a beautiful instrument.
This guitar is magic. Yeah.
I'll say for Joe, who's here, Joe Riggio, makes an amazing Sienna model. Am I right? The Sierra. It's a beautiful Strat style guitar, and the finish work is amazing in terms of matching the custom colors and the.
This whole brand and feel is based on your 63 Strat. Oh, cool, man. Yeah.
Yeah, the 63. Way to go.
Yeah.
But Jeff, man, that guitar sounds so good.
Thanks.
Can't even stand it.
Well, I mean, that's why if you watch my, you know, I bought my dream guitar. They're not all like that. And I got very fortunate, found one, and you remember when I got it? I was like throwing up that I would be doing that move, and sold things you never thought you would sell, like just unloaded, you know, to get it. And yeah, I'm glad I did, you know. Yeah. Anyway, so that's the one. That's the one for me.
When we talked about doing this video this morning, I felt bad that I don't have an SG with P90s in it still. And then I thought we should just call Phil X.
I don't have Phil's number. You do that. Yeah.
Get him in here. That would be the move. Anyway, I think of all of these, you know, this one's the most special to me. Like I did the most to it, kind of, and it just really it came together so great. I definitely played the most gigs on the red one, and the white. But the white custom shop is kind of like if you just want to capture the sound of an SG on you know, like a recording or something like that, I would just go to the custom shop, white SG with the custom buckers in it. I think that's I know I really like the custom buckers. I still have the ones that came in my R9, and I put the throwbacks that I got thanks to getting to know the guys at Throwback through Jeff in a classic, you know, Silverburst classic that everybody thinks is an Adam Jones model now because
it is now. You'll get the Adam Jones guitar.
And those sound great, but I think what's this? What tuners are on
the Strat? These are everything in the Strat's all original except for the pickup selector, which is a 5-way now. I think the SG in Angus' hands has the tightest sound. All right.
The first SG Angus had was the we like the red one. All right, yeah. I mean,
they all sound good. They all sound different, which is really cool.
I think the 57 Classics are an underrated pickup for Gibson.
Let's build you the Riggio SG with P90.
P90s. Well, we'll do that for sure. Yeah, I think if you're looking for the used market, Jeff was talking about the used market. If you're not going to go super vintage, I think that the early 2000s, if you get a chance to try the guitar, that's a great way to go for used Gibson. My red V is a 2005. It's a great guitar.
Your V's are really nice. I like your V's. I've always kind of gone back and forth on getting one because I'm such a big Schenker fan, as are you. Then I pick up the V and I just look stupid with one.
Are you not wearing it low enough? It's because you're not wearing it.
Of course, I don't like that. And, and plus I don't have hair. You got all that. It's a rock and roll look. And it's a real thing. I think they look cool. Obviously, you got Leon Albert King playing one, but I'm not. It was Jimmy Archie who said something. I don't find this to be true with you guys. SGs look only really, Flying V's look really good on big people. Like if you're really tall, you can get away with them. And I put on, it's just kind of like, I'm not that I'm short, like 5'8.5", 5'9", whatever. But I just feel like the main thing though is they look cool on you. When I just, because you don't play them, you play them on gigs. In arenas and stuff. So it's a total look, and it's great because sitting down, they're just a nightmare for me.
Skibic had that black Explorer at Watchtower.
Oh, that was beautiful. Yeah.
And I was like, that's a gorgeous guitar. I just don't have any place to play it. I don't have any place to play it.
Oh, Pariah Pickups is on here. Right, there you go.
What's up, Sean? Yes, we were singing the praises.
Yeah.
Of the Supernaut Mini.
Awesome.
Right here. And actually, Sean at Pariah, after he saw me do this, he went and ordered a pair of the JD pickups, I think, as an R&D project. How's that R&D project going, Sean at Pariah Pickups?
Wink. Nod. Wait, hold on. I'm breaking the law. Hold on. I got to put the...
What's that?
It's a 335 video.
Oh.
I mean, a FP video. I haven't been pushing anything, but hey, guys, if you would like to help me out, you, as BV has been doing awesome. My guitar reference guide's 25% off. Way to help out the channel. If you go over to JM Guitar Lessons, you've got all the workshops I've done. I just did one that you can watch on, I don't say the replay, you can purchase them and watch them. One I just did with Matt Schofield went well. I've got my building blocks of blues guitar soloing and rhythm, all these things. Go over to JM Guitar Lessons. If you haven't already subscribed to my page here, please do so and hit the like button, all that kind of stuff. Also, if you can, over and BB's put here the YouTube freebies. So when I do a YouTube video, it's also going to be on my channel and JM Guitar Lessons. And if there's background tracks and tab, you'll get all that there as well. So Andy Powell doesn't need hair. Yeah, I think he looks like he's taller than me. The main thing about the Flying V for me is just the practicality. I'm just not gigging enough where I'm going to, it's a standing up guitar.
Oh, yeah. I think it's half the reason my knees are so shot sitting down while I'm playing it.
Yeah. Just hunched over.
So we got to talk about the upsides and the downsides of a life on stage.
Yeah. Yeah. Away from your family a lot. Your knees hurt.
Torn meniscus.
That's right. Well, you got that gig, man. Like you yeah. So.
It's like years of doing back bends and pop-ups and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, why do my knees hurt so much?
Thanks, Mike. Absolutely love your Zep vids. Since then, I've been loving you. Hey, I see what you did right there. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And coming up soon, if you sign up for JM Guitar Lessons, of course, a bunch of cool announcements. I have a pack coming out. Keith over at 5 Watt World, who can't be here today because he is actually got some friends in town, or in-laws. And here and I are doing the Guitars of Eric Clapton video coming up soon. And I've designed, we've both designed, I should say, a packet of HX Stomp presets for you guys. People have been asking me a lot, do you have presets? Can you have presets? So I did some we did about 16 of them for Eric Clapton tones throughout the ages. And I'm really happy with the way it turned out. The HX Stomp, man, it was pretty, at first I was skeptical. It's like a commercial. Sounds really good. I used it at the beginning. It's a good sounding unit. That'll be coming up too. So if you guys want to check that out, JM Guitar Lessons. And that'll be the Blues Rock Masters course. Now I am releasing my Blues Rock Masters course very shortly on JM Guitar Lessons. That's going to come out in the next week. I'm re-releasing that. You can get it in my channel as well. There's my sales pitches. AngusClark.com. Follow him on Instagram. And are you even on Facebook anymore? Am I on Facebook anymore?
I just repost from Instagram to Facebook.
Me
but
too.
I go check out the comments over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to post all sorts of political stuff on Facebook. That's just all for my politics. Works out really well.
I think we're providing an antidote to 24/7 news coverage
it's
here.
Exactly. Yeah, man. She's like.
But my internet feed is one half is a political rage fest, and the other half is a guitar store.
That's exactly what mine is. And that's one thing I really kind of made the move over to Instagram, because I was like, I can't. Because here's my one little political statement I shall say for the whole time. Being the business that I'm in, I have a chance to meet many people from around the world, but let's just say we're talking about the United States, and who of differing political views. When we start talking, we all want the same thing, and that's what makes me freaking nuts. You know what I mean? These guys, we all start talking. It's like, oh, so basically we're really like this as opposed to that, and it's just that's my only thing I'm going to say. I just wish there were people would just all get us about talking about guitar, and then you start talking about something else, and you're like, oh, actually, we're all really pretty. We're all just want to just get by, just. So that was it. That's my little thing.
I'm with you. We're
all right. I'm going to let you talk about your SGs.
A couple folks asked about the V, so
yeah, the V's.
I figured I just brought the V out. This is 2005, I think, 2003. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I bought it used, like $900, Sam Ash. And Sam Ash lists like all their used gear on their...
Oh, yeah, guys, yeah. Sam Ash and Guitar Center, the used things sometimes are great deals.
Yeah. Guitar Center used. Yeah, because you're ordering it from the store in Oklahoma or whatever, and you call up and the guy say, yeah, we've got that. I think that's where I got my 2205.
Right. And we're also just saying that because living in New York and these tri-state area or, everything's more expensive. So.
Yeah. So, anyway, so this is... I mean, it just, I love these things. And this is a whole lot of humbucker. This is Seymour Duncan, whole lot of humbucker. And I'm super pumped with this guitar was exceptionally, it has a lot of high end. Mm-hmm. And I was using the Duncan distortion in pretty much all of them, but this one just really worked better in this guitar. And that's the distortion neck pickup. I love it. I don't need... I don't know. I love them.
Sounds great.
And they stay in tune, and they're light. Walk around,
which is big. It's like this is my only rock guitar now, like rock guitar. The Jake. Yeah, but it's funny, man. Like, it's the lighter strings. We just talked about that earlier, and you can check out Rick Beato did a video. Did really, really. Everybody was talking about for a long time. I'm talking like a YouTuber. He did a video that did really, really well. Like, it's the way the mind works now after being a YouTuber, which is hysterical. Now I'm a YouTuber. Lighter strings make a big difference. I'm stepping on the wrong pedal board. I'm in a 2-rock at the moment.
I don't know how Albert...
I don't have any boost, but... A chord, G chord.
That guitar does have a little bit of that. It has that really... There's something very Jake in the way the low end is shaped on that.
I know.
On that guitar.
Which has no... You can't get that record anywhere, so I can play that lick.
Somebody asked about some Albert King style bending.
You got to tune down on like 2/3.
Yeah,
or 19,
I think this
whatever.
has tens on it still.
I think if I'm not mistaken, the trick is like he would tune the guitar down. Is it a 2-hole steps? Like some crazy. So with lights, yeah, that was part of the sound. There's a great video of Jack Pearson doing that with like a vintage flying V, and you're like, yeah, that's it. Like, you know, also that out of phase thing, but yeah. But the V's, man, they're just great. I mean, you've had that for a while.
Yeah. And then the white one is the white ones. I don't know. They're a little different, but this was always like our favorite. But somehow the white one just every time to be honest, every time I see a picture of me on a well-lit stage with anything other than a white guitar, I get mad. I say, I should have had a white guitar on.
Well, it was kind of come your thing, and it does stand out. I mean, so where's that? I think is it on your website, that one that's on the picture of the TSO book where it's like you on a huge one of those risers, like the cranes. Oh, there. Oh, right behind. Okay, let's see. Oh, there.
Don't go anywhere without
that
it.
Picture. Yeah, don't go anywhere.
Don't leave home without it.
Right. That's the That's the Jackson, right? That's the Adrian.
No,
Smith
that's
one?
an Atomic. That's
right. That's a while ago.
Atomic. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a now that's all that spot in the show would all be covered with a Jackson Adrian Smith.
Right.
But which is a great guitar.
It is a great guitar.
But yeah, and then I don't know, if we're talking about it, V's, I just like covered pickups on them because you do run the risk of catching the string on a bobbin.
Right.
So I would.
And that's why you see like Steve Vai has got, in some of his guitars, he's got tape right there, you know, and a lot of people have tape because sometimes the string gets cut underneath.
Yeah, and there's kind of I don't know how long it's been a thing, but there's like a pickup, like an open cover now that you can get for most humbuckers that kind of solves that particular issue, but still leaves the rest of the bobbin uncovered.
Right. So the sound, yeah.
Yeah, because some people feel like there's a big difference. I hadn't really noticed that.
Well, before we wrap it, I've been on for an hour and a half, which I appreciate. Got a lot of people here still. Any questions? We're happy to answer questions. Happy to hang out.
I feel bad I don't have a familiar like Evel Knievel. Somebody's mentioned.
Oh, this is pretty funny. Jason Carter. I like that. Here we go.
I do have a selection of knickknacks on top of one of my speakers. But the closest thing that I have to Jeff's lit JM sign,
which somebody made for me and gave it to me as a gift, which is amazing, right?
Nobody did that for me.
Well, because I have a YouTube channel.
I have a similar item, but it's the Starship Enterprise.
Well, both you and I are guitar Star Trek nerds. You more so than me, because you put out your whole record called, what's it called? What's your record?
Your Last Battlefield.
Your Last Battlefield, and every song is named after a Star Trek episode.
Yes.
How cool is that?
One of the nerdiest things I've ever done.
It's nerdy. And one thing that you cannot see in Angus's environs is the same thing as you cannot see in mine, is it looks neat on camera. You know?
Like, you just can't swivel the camera past here on the desk.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it was funny, Jason Lockley, he sent me a picture of his desk. He's like, does your desk look like Matt? And I'm like, oh yeah. I sent a picture of mine too. It's just, what you cannot see in front of me and the floor, it's like cables and pedals and stuff, you know?
It's fine. We like that lived-in look.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I don't know. If we're getting close to the end, I just want to, Jeff, thank you for having me as
it was a pleasure
as always, and I hope anybody found it entertaining or illuminating in any way. If we are getting close to the end, if there are any other questions that you feel burning left unanswered, all of my sounds are coming out of an FX3.
Right.
Do I like the latest Star Trek shows? All right, yeah, let's get into it. All right,
Wait, hold on.
Some real
Hold on. the best line ever was you were telling me about the new Star Trek shows, and I'm like, well, how are they? You're like, it's all I got, man. It's all I got. Which I thought was, I just laughed out loud. That's one of the best lines. It's all I got, man. It's all I got to hold on to. It's all I got. Yeah.
I'm gonna weigh in, and I'm gonna say, a Star Trek joke. How many ears does Captain Kirk have? And his final frontier. Oh, I've never heard that one before. I like that. I'm gonna say the Star Trek Strange New Worlds is the only series that I've enjoyed anywhere close to the original series. Ever since. Like I just never, no, Discovery, nothing. Picard, leaving me cold. Anything Next Generation influenced, not my thing. But I'm going to say this new one with it's kind of like a prequel to the original series with Captain Christopher Pike, number one, Spock still struggling with his emotions, kind of stuff.
Does it have the Heine heads, as my brother used to call them?
I haven't seen those guys yet. I haven't seen those guys yet. But I'm going to say that I'm really digging it. There you go.
I've been too cheap to get another. We discussed this, another subscription service, but I might have to do it because sometimes I'll dig in. I'll do HBO for a bit, then I'll watch what I want. Because I started watching Westworld. I'm like, it's easier if I just binge, cancel it. Because I've got the YouTube subscription, which is totally worth it. For the guys, some guys used to complain like, "Oh man, you guys, you got so many ads." I'm like, I can't really control that, and I'm sick of the ads. And I'm like, well, then pay for it. It's the best. YouTube without ads is the best. So I've been cheap, and also this is the only one. Like with Card, you're like, it's okay. You know what I mean? Or Discovery, it's okay. So,
I think that. Yeah, we got it. Which is the Enterprise NCC 1701. There's no A, B, C, D. No, come on. Let's keep it real. And what's interesting is that now that they've had to make Star Wars more episodic in order to roll it out on TV and the movies and stuff like that, Star Wars has become much more Star Trek-ish in its, because they've had to start doing these morality plays and stuff like that rather than kind of a classic fantasy hero kind of thing that it was in its original thing. So anyway, I just really like it, and it's totally episodic. It's like there may be an arc, but it's just here's the problem. It's going to get solved by the end of the episode. Next episode. Here's the problem.
original ones. Yeah. we got a guitar question.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. We'll go back. I want to talk about some other stuff. But just because Mike's always around here, it's one of the answers to his question. Does the neck on the Veal feel like the SG or the off to the left? That is.
Interesting question. This 03, I think, is significantly more U-shaped, and by U, we're talking about a capital U with kind of more shouldered. And all the other guitars that you've looked at are more C-shaped, more of a regular C. This one is the most U-shaped of all of them. It has more shoulders than the white V. And the other V I have is a Brent Hines signature, which is modeled on kind of a Gibson Custom. And that has a huge, baseball bat in it.
Yeah, whatever.
Right. Oh, Star Trek Enterprise with, who was the actor in that?
Was it the guy from Scott Bakula? Was that one?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I know that name. I'm really annoyed that I have that in my memory.
Too Never recognizable. It was too. I was like Scott Bakula was just too recognizable. I was like, I know who that is, and that's not a captain.
Okay, real fast before we go, Obi-Wan. Right, what do you think about that? I'm all into these shows, and then when Princess Leia was running away from those guys, it was Flea was one of the guys, and she's 8, 10 years old, and they can't catch her. I'm all about suspension of disbelief, but at some points you're like, oh, come on. The wily smart kid who outruns the adults and somehow, and they hit their head. I'm like, this is, so sometimes that made me angry. And the other time when if you're watching the show, like, Darth Vader's like dragging Obi-Wan through flames, and then he gets rescued, and he's like, I can't get to him. Better go now. Like something like that. It was
but this is us watching too much TV. You're poking holes in
I know, but still,
everything.
you know what it was like? It was like my wife and I used to watch The Walking Dead, and then at one point, for all you guys, I'm not blowing anything, seasons ago, when Rick did not kill Negan immediately when he had the chance, I'm like, we're both like, we're out. I'm done. I can't watch this anymore. Like, now we're really nerd now. This is really coming out what kind of nerds we are.
It's getting really deep. But there was one thing I wanted to say about, if we really wanted to go into the Star Wars thing, we'd have to get like Richie Castellano and the band geek guys in on this. We have everybody in. But one thing, when I did a band geek episode, and if you guys haven't checked them out, they're hilarious, and they do covers of like Yes tunes and crazy stuff.
It's been fun. Those are good.
And we were saying that why is it we feel free to talk smack about the guys and gals that make these sci-fi movies and TV shows, but we can't say a bad word about any other musician,
because we're friends with those other musicians. It's a very small world.
That's what I said, is that we think that our work choices are not going to rely. The chances of us meeting anybody that's making Star Trek are actually very low. But I found out that I'm only like one connection away from a direct relation to Gene Roddenberry. So I'm not going to say...
I didn't know about this. Wait,
I'm not going to say anything bad about Star Trek.
No. Well, it's interesting. I've worked on a movie a while ago with Robin Williams. Remember that was the guitar teacher and Robin's double, which is kind of funny. And great guy. We hung out a lot. Actually, became pretty friendly. That ended immediately after the movie was done filming, which is, I did not expect anything more than that. You know what I mean? Like, got along great, and it was done, which is cool. Great to have known him. But I remember when we were filming the movie, and I was there, I'm like, I can tell this isn't great. Like, how is this being, and it's called August Rush. It was, some people liked it, but
it's my favorite movie.
Right. And some people say, oh, I love that movie. And I'm like, oh, so if you watch August Rush, in the beginning of the movie where there's Robin Williams' character in Washington Square Park, that's not him, that's me. And, so that was fun. But at the same time, they're filming and you see these scenes and some of these movements, you're like, and I remember asking him, like, what do you think about the movie? He's like, you never know.
Yep.
You never know. Like, I've filmed movies that you're doing, like, this is going to be terrible, and they put it together and they edit it and it's done. You're like, oh, actually, that was actually pretty good. So I think he was just like, good cast, good people. Probably paid him, right? Anyway.
Do we get hit if we do this?
I don't think so. Oh, yeah. I don't know. Okay, I am a huge fan of The Boys.
I love The Boys.
The Boys is awesome.
It goes over the edge with the porn scenes.
Right, which what I love about it, because it's just like not for kids, and it's just such dark humor. I think it's hysterical. That's what I really love about it. All right, guys, we could talk about this forever.
Anyway, long story short, the SG is awesome.
Yeah.
Everybody loves either Jeff's custom shop. What did we like? Did we like, when they say they like the white one, I think they're talking about the custom shop white one.
Yeah.
Or the
or the one with the bar. I don't know.
I think we're talking about the custom. Everybody loves the custom shop models, and then the Regio one, which is the customized version of an SG special. And we apologize for not having one with P90s in it, but we'll get one for next time. It's just another reason to buy a guitar, Jeff.
No. I don't need any more. All right.
No, here's the thing. When I took the Lawlers out of that, I still have the Lawlers sitting here. I need a guitar to put them in.
Well, that's what it comes down to. I got a P90 guitar, so I'm kind of cool with that.
Anyway.
Man,
come on.
Just had to throw it.
Come on. The beauty. anyway, I appreciate everyone putting up with us talking about Star Trek. But I hope if you're checking out on Reverb, update us. I wonder what these early 2000s 61 reissues are going for these days. I think I think it's a great guitar. I had great results with it. And if you're looking used, that's where I'd look. Those early 2000s, both for the V's and the SGs. But the new guitars aren't that well, I don't know. How did the prices just go up? Anybody got that?
Everything. Yeah, prices going up on everything.
Yeah. So
buy used. Everything I have is used. You know. Okay. How about in Into the Arena song lesson on True Fire, Jeff? A bunch of reasons. One, I can't play it well enough. I mean, it would. Schenker is one of my absolute favorites, of all time. But I'm so far away from sounding like him as opposed to being influenced by him at this point, if that makes sense. So for me to spend all that time learning it, there's like millions of guys who show those up things on YouTube, and they're all like 15-year-old girls from Japan who can play it better than me.
So many folks playing so good. The talent level is amazing.
Yeah, and the real reason people ask me that, I just want to address that question. Why don't I do, a Michael Schenker course? Because I'm a fan, and for me to spend all the time to learn how to play like him, few things, as I'm sure you feel the same way. I don't have the interest because I want to sound like me, right? The time it takes to do that, and the respect I have so much for what he does. Like, I can kind of do some Clapton stuff because it just comes more naturally to me growing up. But Schenker, I would have to really spend a lot of time putting it all together and practicing. And then there's always going to be that person who's that's a natural for them. And I can play in the style of, but to play anything note for note, like you do a good Schenker, man, because we're just such fans. But if somebody wanted you to do a Michael Schenker course teaching note for note, you'd spend a year killing yourself on this thing,
I think
at least I would.
I think the key for any one of these players that you folks are talking about is if you learn 2 or at best 3, at most 3 solos.
There you go. Great.
You will have a cross section of stuff that you can ping them off of each other and see where this lick is just a variation of stuff from there, here, like that kind of thing. So if you just look for 3, a great place to start is the Only You Can Rock Me solo.
Oh yeah, man.
Because it's so melodic at the top, but then the licks are tricky.
They are.
If you and he has that laid back feel on the descent.
Mm-hmm. That's one of his. Yeah, the Only You Can Rock Me UFO is just that's one of the main ones. Anything off of the first record, even if you learn like Are You Armed and Ready solo, which is difficult but not crazy. That's some of the faster licks. And for me, that anything off of that first record, but anything off of the live Schenker, the Strangers in the Night, and certainly anything off of the first record, that gets you really good. And you're totally right. It's a great point. Just learn 3 tunes.
Yeah, and then you can just cross reference what happens. But what I had to do a record, I kind of co-wrote and produced a record for a guy who wanted to do something with like really Schenker influence. If you want to make a solo section in a song sound like Schenker, just like abruptly change keys, like kind of halfway through the solo.
Right.
Like just boom, dun da da dun da dun da da, new key, Mixolydian mode, let's go,
right. Yeah.
That's you people just like, oh man, this reminds me of Schenker. I mean, it's just a compositional tip,
Yeah, and do the dunk. Yeah. So one last question from Jason Carden, we're going to check out. If you could swap a guitar with each other, which one of yours would you choose?
I would go for the gold top with the P90s because that's missing from my Gilmore kind of collection.
I thought you would have gone for the old Strat, but I can understand why you'd go for the old Gibson. You got nothing I want, dude.
I know. I have the obtainable guitars. He could buy something as good or better than one of my guitars on the market and do to it what he wants to. Absolutely.
That was funny. Yeah, I'm sorry. I know a V. I'd grab one of your Vs. Or your white SG, man. I think the white SG, that Polaris white SG is pretty bitchin' looking.
It's a good guitar.
Yeah.
It's good.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks to BV, of course, as always, for being the moderating and handling everything. And always my last minute asking me to do it. Thanks so much, guys, for hanging with us and listening to just talk nonsense about stuff, But which is, I find, the greatest thing about these channels when I do this, people love just when we're hanging out talking about guitars and stuff. It's just like, I think you're right. I think this is the antidote for all the horrendous news. When you open up any app, you're like, oh my God. Like, oh my God. Like,
there's two guys. I think, Jeff, the only thing left, there's a couple of things I want to do. This may be 2-second level, but I want us to learn verbatim the back and forth from Type Bros from way back in the day, Oni Pony. We can just have that conversation like in real time. Dude, it's like this. Blackmore took the cake. Gilly's second, Trower's third, and we just do that whole talk. And then, but I just want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you to Joe Riggio for showing up and the amazing work he did on that guitar. And Sean from Pariah, what's up, bro? Beautiful. I have a bunch of Pariah pickups in I have a Vivian Campbell tribute that I put a pair of Pariahs in.
Hold on. Just go grab that guitar. You got it. That's real fast. Show your Vivian Campbell. This is a whole other thing.
You get sidetracked into my Dio
this is our final thing. Angus will be on again, of course. He's always a favorite. We got to get Russ. Russ, we got to get you back on. Can't get that damn whammy to fit on the L5. Yeah, the hammer, maybe a chisel. There we go.
So this is the so that's flat black, right?
That's sweet.
This is the guitar that Gibson for some reason won't make. Mm-hmm. They made an Epiphone version of it, which had the old Epiphone headstock that nobody really liked. Mm-hmm. And so this is just a brand new standard. And I did what Viv did to his original guitar. I had it sanded off and done flat black. And then Viv used a pair of pickups by another manufacturer, but I had Sean do up these kind of like distressed black metal covers. I don't know if you can see that. It's like just slightly distressed black metal covers with and then ground the black off of the. But it's like, let's see what we got here. And the neck pick is. And I just kind of upgraded this every single which way that you possibly can. It's got, these are Kluson.
Oh, the locking, yeah.
Locking, and they really did a great job. And all Callahan bridge and tailpiece, kind of the distressed thing. And I left the back like that, so I call it the blacktop.
Nice. That's awesome. I guess this is my closest rock metal guitar at this point.
Oh, that's a beautiful piece, man.
It is, man. It's a piece. All right. On that note, thanks everybody. We will see you. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Check out for the videos. Keep an eye out for V5 Watt World. We're gonna do the Clapton video and the Line 6 H-Deck Stomp patches, which I think have been a lot of work and a lot of fun. I think you guys would dig them. It's a great way to help out the channel. Go over and sign up JM Guitar Lessons if you haven't already signed up there. I will not spam you. You just gotta get when there's discounts and all those sorts of things. And thanks everyone. Thanks to BV. Thanks Angus. I'll see you guys later.